All right, today we are looking at XLOOKUP formula in Google Sheets. First off, we're going to take a quick look at XLOOKUP and a quick comparison to VLOOKUP, and then we're going to dive into a number of different use cases to give you a good idea and feel of how to use XLOOKUP in your projects. So first off, we're just going to dive right into XLOOKUP. We're going to start with our formula, XLOOKUP, and we'll open it up with our open parentheses. We see we have a number of different criteria we have here. So first is our search key. And so I'm just going to click on B3, hit comma for our next criteria. So our next one is our lookup range. And so this is the column or potentially the row where we want to look up our key. So that'd be right here, comma again, result range. And this is the value or the text we want to return for our key. So I'm just going to select J. And then if I hit comma again, you can see these brackets that shows for optional criteria. So we actually don't need to use any of the optional criteria for an exact match. So if we simply hit enter, we have three criteria: our search key, our lookup range, and our result range. And we end up with our correct result there for standard. Click on business, see 119 for business and 159 for enterprise. So I'm just going to do a quick comparison to VLOOKUP. For those of you using Google Sheets, this is probably what you've been using instead of XLOOKUP. So again, search key. This one, you'll notice there's only one criteria for range, and you have to select the range that contains both. And then the index, which is the column you want to return. And then this is sorted, which is false for exact match. So this is the formula you have to use in VLOOKUP to achieve the same results that you have here in this XLOOKUP. So we can use one less criteria, and the lookup and the result range are separate, which makes it a little bit easier to assemble. All right, so let's go ahead and run through this missing value real quick, and then we're going to run into match mode and search mode in a little bit. So missing value, if you select something here like elite, it gives you an NA error. And so XLOOKUP allows you to simply specify, hit comma, to simply specify what you want to happen if the value for the search key is missing. So we can just hit no results. And there we go. And so it just shows a quick comparison. In VLOOKUP, we would have probably handled this with an if error and done the same thing. Now, however, XLOOKUP allows you to do it within the formula itself. All right, so let's go ahead and run through now. So we just did this text. So let's go ahead and do this again. XLOOKUP. We'll grab this search key. We'll grab our search range or lookup range, then our result range. And we're just going to close this. And again, if you've seen our VLOOKUP, we want to lock these. These aren't moving. And we can drag this down for our range. We can select business, the enterprise. Let's go ahead and update that for if our no results are there again. Now if we drag this down, now we can delete these and we see no results. So let's go ahead and jump into this one. So XLOOKUP, but our data table is on another tab. So we're going to do the same thing, our search key. Now for our lookup range, we're going to have to go to this separate tab. And we want to look up our plan and then our result range. So we're going to head and get rid of the numbers just to make this simpler. And there we have our results. So if we select business, we see 69, enterprise, and so forth. All right. So let's go ahead and run through how XLOOKUP works if you have the data on a completely separate spreadsheet. So again, search key. And now we're going to have to do import range. And I have this other data on the separate spreadsheet. Let's go ahead. We'll just grab the ID, just this part, keep it a little shorter. If you notice, our tab name is data. And then here is our columns A, B, and C, plan, product ID, and price. So we can put in our ID, data, and then we can do A. I'm going to copy this whole thing, import range formula, hit comma, our result range, which needs to be C, and then close it. And we're going to have our ref here because we need to connect access. So allow access, and there we go. So you can see we have the same results, even though our data is on a completely different spreadsheet. All right, so let's go ahead and this is what we would have for VLOOKUP, and we'd do our true instead of the false for sorted. And so if we just look at this, say we've spent 200, at this point we should qualify in the bronze. Let me just fill in some of these other numbers, just so you can track a little easier. So on VLOOKUP, we would have done this. And you can see return bronze. We go to 400, goes to silver. So how do we do this in XLOOKUP? So XLOOKUP, we'll grab the same key. We'll grab our first lookup range and then our result range. And now we want to get to our match mode. So we can just hit comma to skip the missing value. Then when we get here to match mode, we can look at this and see that 0 is exact match, 1 for exact, the next value is bigger, and -1 for exact match, the next value is lower. So we're going to use -1 and close our formula. You can see now we have bronze. We go back up to 400, we go to silver, we go to 600, we're in gold, we go to 800, platinum, 1000, still in platinum. So we can go somewhere in between 500, and that is silver. So -1 is going to be the equivalent of our true in a VLOOKUP. Now for our next one, if we have a number, we want exact match, this is going to be the same as doing a text. So lookup range, I guess we had a plan there. So we can see there, produce enterprise, we go 1003, standard. And so we don't even have to do the match to return exact match for numbers. We'll go to our next one. Let's say we want to be able to search part of a text string. Maybe we have A. If we know something ends with A, we can do this asterisk A. And if you've used Google Sheets or Excel very much, you know that stands for a wildcard, which means match anything before that. Or if you did the asterisk afterwards, it would match A and then anything after. So if we're going to do wildcard and then A, because we want to match something ending in A, we'll do XLOOKUP, grab our search key, our lookup range, our result range. We're going to skip our missing value. And then if we go to match mode, we can see 2 is for a wildcard match. So if we enter 2, we can see it returns standard. So let's go ahead and change this to C. You can see that it returns enterprise. So that's a good way. If you only have part of the match, you can use the wildcard match to get the result you're looking for. All right, so let's look at a cool feature of XLOOKUP is returning multiple columns with a single formula. So with VLOOKUP, you normally have to wrap this with an array formula, but with XLOOKUP, you can actually do it all in the same cell. So search key, we're going to do our lookup range, and let's go ahead and return product ID and price. And so all you have to do is simply select multiple columns for your result range. And that's all it takes to return multiple columns in an XLOOKUP formula. This is much shorter and much simpler than the VLOOKUP version. Now, for a quick, if we want to return multiple rows, let's say we have our search key, and we're gonna look in our plans, return price, but we want to return with one formula for all the way down. This is gonna look similar to the VLOOKUP. We're gonna do array formula, B3 through B5, and there we go. So that's how we can turn multiple rows for the XLOOKUP. Another cool feature of XLOOKUP, let me go ahead and delete this out, and I'll rewrite this. So XLOOKUP, you can also return an entire column. So you can use it as a VLOOKUP, and this is kind of a HLOOKUP or horizontal lookup. So let's say we want to turn our price column. We can simply use price as our search key. We'll use actually the column headers, so this row, as our lookup range, and then our result range, we'll just pick the entire set here. So you just need to make sure that your lookup range and your result range have the same number of columns. And then there we go. It returns all the results from the price column. So if we change this to plan, we'll see that it automatically updates to returning this result range. We go with product ID. It now returns that. Our formatting is obviously off here, but you get the point. All right, I hope that helps you see the many flexible ways XLOOKUP can be used and can in many ways replace VLOOKUP with a much faster and easier formula to use. Thank you very much, folks, and have a great day.